Backdooring PE files is our next topic. So what are Trojans and why we create them? Trojan is a regular program designed to basically fool the end user. It can be either software mimicking the real program with running malware under the hood, or it's a legitimate program modified by the attacker in a way to run your malware side by side. And the purpose of this is obvious. Like, we want to convince our victim that the program or he or she uses is a legit one. So potential applications are initial breach, persistence, privilege escalation, and even lateral movement. It really highly depends on the situation and the environment the attacker operates in. And I will give you an example. So let's say you have breached into a company on a computer belonging to some HR person, okay? After some reconnaissance, you discovered a file server that has an open share with sysinternal tools, and this share is writable to a domain, to any domain authenticated user. So there is a good chance that someone from IT, and maybe even a workstation or a domain admin, uses these tools. So if you backdoor one of those tools, or even all of them, tools like PSExec, you might gain higher privileges and even move laterally at the same time. So it's a pretty neat scenario. Now, there are typically three ways to backdoor PE files. These are code caves, a new section, or extending section. The code cave is a space, like a spare space inside a PE file, and usually it's in a text segment. And this space is not occupied by other data or code. The biggest downside of this method is the available space you have for your malware. Typically, you might have like around a few hundred bytes of free space, so it should be enough for mid-size, I would say mid-size shellcode. If you need more space, you can add new section to your victim program and set the size to anything you want. And it's the most powerful method, as it gives you, the freedom of from any size constraints. But the downside is that you have to set this section as executable, and this might get quickly caught by AV engine as malicious. The third major method to embed your malware inside a PE file is to extend the existing section. So you pick some section, typically the last one, and increase its size so it can hold your additional code. It can also be done with a text section, which is typically the first section in a PE file, but it requires more effort with recalculating relative offsets inside a file. And there is another thing. You can actually combine a few methods in one shot. So, for example, you find a code cave in a text section with for your small shellcode, which will then load additional code from an added section or even resources. And this new section doesn't have to be set to executable, so you potentially lower the risk of being flagged as malicious. Now, in this chapter, we will focus on the first method, which is locating a code cave and modifying the PE file so that our shellcode gets executed and continues to run the original code.